What's up, Lions fans? We've got a lot to unpack about the Detroit Lions as we look ahead to what's shaping up to be a historic season. From what we're hearing from the coaches to insights from one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, there's a lot to talk about. Stick with me until the end because you won't want to miss a second of it. Be sure to hit that like button if you're a die-hard Lions fan and let us know in the comments who you think was the greatest player of all time. The Lions are on fire right now. But as always, head coach Dan Campbell and the rest of the coaching staff are keeping an eye on where this team can still improve. And while the Lions are firing on all cylinders, there's always room for improvement. Let's dive into the coach's key takeaways this week and how those insights could be the difference between good and great as we move forward. First, offensive coordinator Ben Johnson couldn't be happier with how his unit responded after a tough game against Houston. He said the Lions' performance against Jacksonville was the best collective offensive performance he's seen in years. The team was on fire, scoring points on every possession and looking unstoppable. Johnson's praise for the offense was well-deserved, but he's also focused on getting even better. He noted how there were opportunities for the offense to score even faster against Jacksonville, something they'll need to do against tougher opponents like Green Bay or Buffalo. The Lions have the potential to be the most explosive offense in the league, and Johnson's job is to get them there. On the defensive side of the ball, defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn knows his unit has a tough challenge ahead. With the Indianapolis Colts coming to town, Glenn highlighted the strength of his wide receiver core, including Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman Jr. and Josh Downs. These guys are great playmakers, and Glenn knows the secondary will need to bring its A game. The challenge isn't just stopping these receivers, it's also about maintaining discipline against the run and pass options that Indianapolis will throw at them. With QB Anthony Richardson's ability to run, the defense will need to keep its eyes sharp and stay in its lanes. Glenn is confident in his young secondary, but this week will be a big test. Speaking of defense, another name to keep an eye on is newly acquired edge rusher Za'Darius Smith. He made his debut last week against Jacksonville, and Coach Glenn said we can expect to see more of him this week. Smith will be deployed all over the defensive front to maximize his impact. The veteran rusher is an important addition to this defense, and Glenn is excited to see what he can do with more reps. Pass pressure is crucial for the Lions, and adding Smith to the mix only strengthens what is already an impressive defensive front. Now, let's talk special teams. Special teams coordinator Dave Fipp has been running a tight ship all season, and his group has been incredibly disciplined. The Lions have been flagged just 5 times on special teams all year, tied for second most in the NFL. Fipp is proud of that, and it's clear his emphasis on discipline is paying off. This week, Fipp is bracing for a tough test against the Colts special teams unit that features some of the fastest players in the league, including wide receiver Ashton Dulin, who Fipp called the NFL's best special teams wideout. The Lions will need to be sharp in all phases of the game, including special teams, if they want to come out on top. But it's not just the coaches who are speaking highly of this team. Legendary quarterback Tom Brady has also had plenty of praise for the Lions. During an appearance on SiriusXM NFL Radio's Let's Go, Brady said the Lions' offense does something few teams can do: create uncertainty for opposing defenses. It's not just about the points they score or the stats, they do it with a swagger and attitude that keeps defenses guessing. Brady believes the Lions are tough to beat, and if they continue to work hard and learn from their mistakes, they will be a very dangerous team going forward. As for Jared Goff, the Lions quarterback is all about striving for greatness. After a stellar performance against Jacksonville, Goff acknowledged the team's talent but emphasized that they are not settling for anything less than perfection. "It's a waste if we're not trying to achieve perfection," Goff said. And while perfection is never entirely attainable, that mentality is what makes the Lions so dangerous. The combination of talent and a relentless drive for improvement could make this team one of the best in the league for years to come. So, Lions fans, as we head into a tough stretch of games, including a matchup with the Colts this week, what do you think of everything we've heard from the coaches and players? Do you agree with Ben Johnson's assessment of the offense? Do you think Aaron Glenn's defense can hold its own against the Colts' talented receivers? And how excited are you to see more of Za'Darius Smith in action? Za'Darius Smith is still coming off his debut game with the Lions, and he's already turning heads and impressing coaches. Defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn couldn't contain his excitement when discussing Smith's potential and the big role he'll play moving forward. Let me tell you, Lions fans, Smith is a force to be reckoned with, and he's just getting started. In the Lions' dominant 52-6 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, Smith made an immediate impact. He played 37 defensive snaps, starting at right defensive end but also moving around the defensive line in pass rush situations. He finished with 1 tackle and half a sack, but it wasn't just his numbers that stood out. Smith's physicality and energy are exactly what this defense needs. Aaron Glenn was quick to point out how well Smith's personality and energy fit into the Lions' defensive culture. Out-of-this-world personality, out-of-this-world energy, Glenn said. It's clear that Smith's presence on and off the field has already had a positive effect on his teammates. And when it comes to his style of play, Glenn mentioned the violence and physical nature that Smith brings to the table. That's exactly the type of mentality this Lions defense thrives on. But here's the thing, Smith isn't just a situational pass rusher. Glenn is excited to use him in a much bigger role going forward. The defensive coordinator even mentioned Smith's ability to run inside, which he demonstrated during his time with the Cleveland Browns. That's exactly what Glenn wants to continue exploring. You can expect to see Smith move around more, taking on a variety of roles to keep opposing offenses guessing. Now, let's take a step back and look at what makes Smith so special. Glenn calls his hand technique violent, and trust me, that's a compliment in football speak. The way Smith uses his hands to shed blockers is hard to replicate, and it's an incredibly valuable skill for a defensive player. Glenn had a wow moment when he first saw it in action during a practice session, and I can only imagine how much more we'll see from Smith as he gets more comfortable on defense. It's not just the coaches who are impressed, though. Smith himself has been dedicated to mentoring the younger guys on the team. His leadership and experience are already making an impact, especially when you consider that he was actively coaching the Lions pass rushers during his time off before making his debut. Smith's understanding of the game is clear, and it will be huge for the development of the defense. But while Smith's arrival has been a big talking point this week, let's not forget about the other exciting developments with the Lions. Tight end Sam Laporta, who has been dealing with a shoulder injury, is trending in the right direction and could return to action soon. This would be a huge boost for the offense, especially after the Lions put up historic numbers last week, becoming the first NFL team since 2007 to score touchdowns on their first 7 possessions. With Laporta back, this offense will be even more dangerous. Speaking of offense, let's talk about the tight ends who have stepped up in Laporta's absence. Brock Wright had a big game, catching a touchdown, and Shane Zylstra also had a bigger role, making a 22-yard reception on the first play of the game. James Mitchell, who hadn't seen action all season, got his chance and impressed the coaching staff with how he handled his opportunities. The tight end group is looking solid, and the offense is firing on all cylinders. Meanwhile, cornerback Carlton Davis III has been playing through a broken thumb, and he's shown some serious resilience as he continues to practice and compete. The Lions are overcoming injuries, keeping the team fresh, and making sure they're ready for the tough stretch ahead. With 3 games in just 11 days, that kind of depth and resilience will be essential to success. Now, Lions fans, with all this momentum building, how do you feel about Za'Darius Smith's impact on defense? Do you think his presence will elevate the Lions even further? And with the offense continuing to roll, what are your thoughts on the team's chances in the upcoming games? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you think. If you're excited about how this team is coming together, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss the latest news. Let's keep this momentum going. Go Lions!